David, going to get you to put your public policy hat back on here. I'd love to get your thoughts on the support for the oil and gas sector in Newfoundland and Labrador, provincial and federal, and maybe give us a sense of what the federal government needs to do better or more of, or needs to do less of even, in order to support this sector.
You know, really what I would like as a policymaker and a former regulator, I would like the government less involved. Let business do what business does best. Put the necessary regulations with respect to production, with respect to health and safety, with respect to the environment and resource management, and then let the market decide. The level of importance, the level of activity that the offshore can offer. Business is, they're the ones that are investing. The offshore companies, and they're large, they're not looking for government investment. They don't seek that at all. They just want the rules to be set, not to continually change the target, and let them go, and let the structures that are in place, environmental structures, regulatory structures, let the structures in place do their job. There's great opportunities for oil and gas, even though people talk about peak oil and transition away and all of that. My thought is, with the regulations in place, let the market decide if they don't need oil anymore. Let the market decide if there's a better, replacement for lubricants or jet fuel or an ingredient for plastics. Let the market decide that. But outside of that, let jurisdictions that need income, that need to pay for schools and roads and hospitals and public services. This is where that income is generated from.
Yeah.
In fact, just a couple of years ago, just to give you an idea of the scale, when there was a bid proposals put out for Newfoundland and Labrador's offshore, there was one in a set of bids. There was $1.4 billion bid, and one direct bid was $621 million just on the bid alone.
Right.
Let alone the further exploration and production and the royalties and the taxes and the jobs that come from that.
Yeah, no, and you raise a good point in terms of just letting the marketplace decide. The market is changing. Corporations are seeking to disinvest from things that are associated with carbon markets. Let's put it that way. Countries are seeking to decarbonize. So tell us a little bit about that. What should the federal government be doing to ensure that this is a viable industry? If anything, maybe you're going to tell me that the federal government doesn't want this to be a viable industry, but I'd love to get the lay of the land from you.
Well, Tony, you know this federal government very well. They would like to see a transition from oil and gas, from all petroleum products. The Prime Minister has said that. A number of premiers have said that, and of course, opponents of the offshore and of the land-based oil and gas industries have said that. What the companies want is some certainty of the rules, of the regulations, and of the laws. They will comply if that transition happens. Let the market decide. Right. Let's not force ourselves to do this. Tony, one important thing to remember is, if we do not produce oil and gas from Newfoundland and Labrador, if we do not produce oil and gas from Saskatchewan or Alberta or the other provinces that have smaller but important sectors, where will the world buy their oil and gas? Where will Canada buy its oil and gas? We will buy it from Saudi Arabia. We'll buy it from Venezuela. We'll buy it from Russia, whose environmental standards, whose human rights standards aren't nearly what Canada's are. So, when we think of the opponents of the oil and gas business in Canada, we're an open country. We allow dissent. This is the next step. And I haven't heard suitable answers for any of those. I'd rather jobs be in Canada, where we produce, I'm not going to say ethical oil or anything like that, where we produce oil and gas to a standard, to a labor standard, to an environmental standard. These are important considerations that I think others don't think about when we think about whatever peak oil is. And I know Newfoundland and Labrador is just, they are a proponent of further development. They've put out a plan where they want to double oil and gas production by 2030 up to more than 650 million barrels. 650,000 barrels per day. That's very significant.